Good evening, good morning, good night, you lovelies. It is the one, the only Cappy D Bar, and we're here to discuss the greatest story of all time. One Piece, chapter 1187. Hope all of you are having a great one. Have you catch this whenever you catch this. Now, small housekeeping. I'd like to just be a little serious for a moment. I am very delayed in this reaction, this review, whatever you would want to categorize this as. And I try to pride myself on not only structure but scheduling. And I found that, a lot of this free time that I've gotten, blessed from the universe, it's kind of cut into a little bit of this schedule, right? I do like to hold myself to the exact same standard of a Grand Line review, of a TPOT, of a KOL, of a JD Legend, of a Teching 101, right? These are individuals in this community that I genuinely, I want to, if not emulate, I at least want to be a part of the ilk of, just structure, discipline, and consistency. So I want to humbly, from the bottom of my heart, apologize. This is a very late review, and again, I really do want to hold myself to the standards of my counterpart. So I want to guarantee you there will be no more delays on our One Piece videos. We are going to try to be as direct and as concise as we can be with this amazing fucking story. Everything that we're getting right now in Elbaf, from Emu, from the Straw Hats, it is simply impressive. It is simply impressive, and I can't keep blue balling y'all. All right, so no more dilly dallying. All right, no more pussyfooting around. We're going to get directly into our One Piece chapter 1187. Not only do we get a cover story, but I think we get a Shonen Jump cover. Not a cover story. We get a color spread and a Shonen Jump cover. So pretty baller, pretty fucking beast. The Shonen Jump cover is Luffy eating a big piece of like ham hock, a big old piece of fucking panda shark, whatever the fuck they be eating in that ocean. The color spread is the Straw Hats. I can imagine maybe they're somewhere near Fishman Island or just anywhere in the Grand Line, but there is a humongous turtle, a turtle that kind of resembles the turtles that we seen from Finding Nemo. Stay 10, dude, if you guys remember that reference. That color spread was very good. I was initially kind of expecting maybe something a little bit more relevant, but again, I could understand that some of these, even like with the SBS and like some of these cover stories, some of the fan requests, there is a bit of greed that goes into when I see like these certain things. Like for instance, right, like when we seen I believe it was last week for 1186 with the ugly ducklings, right, and Sanji and his mother and Judge, the other Vinsmoke children. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I feel like somebody might have requested this during like Whole Cake Island, but I guess that's kind of one of the gifts and the curses of being Oda, right? Being Oda sensei, like you probably get mail from 2009, right? Just readily available on your doorstep because there's been so much mail since the beginning of One Piece, right? And I know it probably seems like a little like an insane hypothetical, but you have to imagine how much old mail or how much quote unquote outdated request probably hit Oda's doorstep every time he steps outside, right? I mean, some of those SBS questions honestly still kind of sound like they're from like no less than Fishman Island. I mean, there are just shit that I would like to know, that I think people who kind of started in Wano, again, more or less like me, that was kind of like my reintroduction to One Piece was Wano. So a lot of people of that kind of I'd say generation or of that viewing experience, a lot of the people who viewed and experienced Wano, I don't really know if a lot of their questions are getting answered because there's a lot of really important shit that was introduced in Wano, and even like leading up to Wano, right? Like I think a lot of Whole Cake Island. I think a lot of Whole Cake Island is, a very integral to what becomes of Luffy, right? So I'm essentially just saying all this to say that there is a lot of this story that is to be desired, and unfortunately, some of these color spreads and some of these covers are that, but fear not, young Nakama, all right? Because getting directly into this chapter, so sorry about that, chat. Apparently, I was on the wrong set of notes. That's my bad. Hey, what can I say? Nobody bats 1,000. All right, now, all right, to correct myself for 1100 chapter 88, it's simple, straight hands, straight fucking hands, all gas, no brakes, pretty much like that Eagle and Michael Irvin edit. I'll try to put it in here. That's basically this chapter. I'm not joking. It's straight combat. I love that Oda is giving us a fight focused chapter, surprisingly, right, a lot of the aspects that we see of this fight it's a lot more defense from Luffy, and I kind of like that. I like the idea of Luffy having to kind of think on his back foot for a second, having to go beyond what he believed the goalpost was, right? Because we could use Toon Force, and a lot of people were theorizing, because he has eaten so much food, because he was so gluttonous in the past couple of scenes, that it's realistic that Luffy's just gonna be like super OD, overpowered, overcracked, right? But that's not the case. That's it's simply not the case. We open up this chapter with the phone call, right? It's a phone call, or at least a Den Mushi. We hear the sounds of a Den Mushi. Realistically, they could be like Den like lions. I don't know what time period this takes place in. So let's just use a little hypothetical. It's possible that the snails from the Den Mushi were either a lot larger, or they were different animals, and that is how they're communicating. Because unless like we're talking like radios, like unless we're going to go full out there, like the past was the future and the future is the past kind of situation, it's possible they were using like radio, listen, it sounds fucking insane, but it's possible they were using like a radio or some kind of a long distance communication system that either exists in the modern era that wouldn't exist in the present timeline of One Piece, or again something completely different and abstract, like I'm talking like cups and gold strings. Like I have no fucking idea how these two are communicating. It's implied it's a Den Mushi, so take it with a grain of salt. The Den Mushi essentially tells Imu, my name is Joy Boy. That's who I am. And Imu at first, they seem kind of confused. I'm thinking about this, right? I don't know a scenario in where they were kind of need to communicate like this, which is also why I'm kind of just like confused by it. I'll be honest, right? I can't really crack down as to what this means or to why it's happening. I think it is just a bit of like a flashback, like Imu's just reminiscing on the days that was, right? And I can imagine that Joy Boy, obviously, as we've seen, was one of his greater allies. But again, I don't understand why just why. I don't know. I genuinely couldn't tell all of you where the fuck this is going or what it means. But again, establishing the connection between Nuroma Imu and Joy Boy of the D Clan. So I guess that's something that's going on there. I missed something for the last chapter. Apparently Imu, they muttered the words Joy Boy before Luffy corrected them, proclaiming that they would be the king of the pirates. And Imu reflects, he says, you know what, you're right. Joy Boy has been dead for over hundreds and hundreds of centuries. So why do you keep reminding me of him, right? And I want to say this really briefly. I really do think it's interesting that the Zaza, this rain goddess thing, that we are not going to see her most likely in the same panel with Luffy, right? The depiction of the sun god. And I don't have the exacts there. I swear I should be a lot more thought out than I am right now. But I really do believe that there is some connection not only between Zaza but the sun god, that there is a reason why the people ruled over by Imu fear a god of rain. Like there's a whole thing going in there. It's possible that even going back to the Harley text, is Imu the earth god? Are they the demons that spread the embers of war? Like there is a lot of things that I really want to identify with Imu and the entire world government. But again, speaking on sun god Luffy and his image, right, and how it affects people around him, Imu is essentially kind of dazed for a second. They're like, I just don't know why you keep bringing back this kind of like PTSD, like the Akira meme, basically. Like it's just Akira all over again anytime Imu sees that white hair and that smile. So that is pretty interesting. I can definitely say that's pretty interesting. But it's clear that Imu didn't want to spoil the plot just yet, right? Because Imu is about to say, it's almost like your, and then Luffy basically tells that nigga to can it, shut the fuck up. He uses Toon Force to dodge a couple attacks, as the demons sent off by Imu, they work together to chase essentially to chase Luffy's body. Luffy does this thing where his head dodges, and it's pretty interesting, right? We kind of see the demons work together, like a colony of ants to reach Luffy's head, like at least a good 12 plus, like at least a good 12 or so inches, at least a good foot or so down, right? After Imu kind of uses this, essentially like this dark Toon Force, which I definitely think leans into the credibility of Imu having a darker version of the Nika fruit, which again, I think if we're going to be doing this entire mythology of gods and forest demons and whatever, like some of that has to make sense. And for all the people who may not like it, a dark gumu gumu fruit makes the most sense in situations like this. Like specifically like this, the arm reaches down with its own consciousness to hit somebody who they almost seem like they could, like, it's interesting, right? Because Imu's demons seem to have multiple minds of their own. Or maybe it really is like kind of, the situation of like a rat king, like we touched on many chapters ago. The idea of a head rat, kind of leading a consortium of other smaller rats, right? So in this very basic example, it would be one demon leading, a legion of very smaller, more deadly demons, which explains situations like the stigmas, which explains situations like the Nemesis attack that was placed on Loki with that giant sword attack where he kind of mirrored Mihawk for a little bit. So there are a lot of aspects to these demons, and I definitely think that the idea of a rat king, it fits here because this is one demon controlling a legion of other demons, such as a rat that will be leading a consortium or a legion of other rats. I really hope that connection makes sense. I really hope it does. But again, essentially, right? It's really just a game of cat and mouse. It's really all it is. After the impact, left from the, I guess it was like, it wasn't like an uppercut, but like the like a right hook. I don't know what the fuck you call that. A downer cut, I guess is what you would call it. The crown of Luffy's skull got cracked open, right? He pops back up. He's heated. He's tight. And then Imu, he essentially deflects, the oncoming attacks led off by Luffy. Conqueror's just it's not a Gatling, but a similar of a gum Gatling, right? And Imu uses his staff very nonchalantly, flicks him off, no patience, like just zero patience for the bullshit, like 0 second thought. Imu is definitely thinking at his absolute peak right now, which I do like. Imu then sends off multiple other demons, right, to sprint at Luffy. Luffy is again, he's taking this not as seriously as Imu, so it is very Tom and Jerry, very Bugs Bunny-esque, the way he escapes Luffy, and the way he escapes Imu, maybe some foreshadowing, might be some foreshadowing right there. So as he's escaping Imu seems very like unimpressed, very like older brother-esque, like, all right, you're being a little weird. I don't like how weird you're being. It's making me uncomfortable. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. And then, Luffy, essentially, he sets off, I believe this is a version of a Gatling. Like, I think he actually says gum Gatling, and our Gatling gun, the attacks that he used, a pre-time skip, and he hits most of the demons, right? All of them explode, and then after this, we see a new form from Luffy. It is, gum Majin, and Luffy essentially turned into a big ass genie. Imu again. Imu does not look that impressed. He looks kind of annoyed. Honestly, he looks kind of upset. You know what I think the closest example to this is? This is like if Terrence Crawford in like his second year fought like prime Floyd Mayweather. That's what this is like. It's like a little nigga who's having fun, who has the world ahead, who has the world on his shoulders. The world is his oyster, versus like a prime salted seasoned veteran who like low-key wants to die inside. That's pretty much what Imu's on right now. This massive form is taken by Luffy, and basically he proclaims like, hey, don't think you're gonna sit here and turn me into a bit of a jabron, right? All right, because I seen what you did to Loki, and I won't let his death be in vain, you fuck nigga. And then Loki says, you fuck nigga, I'm not dead. They have a bit of a gaff about it for a little bit, and Imu essentially sends off a demon to kind of finish the job off with Loki, but my demon, Jinbei, saves the fucking day. I'm not surprised. I told all of you that Jinbei, Frankie, any one of them near niggas are gonna have to play supporting role to either Sanji, Luffy, or Zoro, because the stakes are just that high. And what do you know? Lo and behold, this nigga Oda Sensei, listen to me. Who knows, huh? Who knows? I might just be Nixtradamus. I might just be Nixtradamus, all right? Massive fucking stocks for Jinbei. This means that anybody at least semi on the par with Jinbei has half of a chance at dissipating any of those demons that get shot off. Jinbei uses an Arabic-esque punch. So fucking cold for my dude. So fucking cold for my demon. The fish demon Jinbei. I'm like so hyped about this because again, this means that essentially, if Frankie really locked the fuck in, if he really locked the fuck in, he could probably negate one of these beams. Hey, there's nothing stopping Brook from negating one of these beams. Speaking on Brook, the Soul King, Imu reflects on, essentially everything taking place, right? Loki is kind of, essentially, him and his power is waning due to his massive injury given by Imu. So the ice that he put Gonko in is melting. Brook is essentially kind of jumping for joy, doing cartwheels, kind of doing tricks on it, I'll be honest. Excited to address Princess Shuri. He does not address her as Gonko, as the lady or this woman. He says loudly and emphatically, Princess Shuri. This basically triggers the memories of Imu, and he goes, damn, a nigga with an afro begging for Princess Shuri to be safe. This seems oddly familiar. Like, it's a lot of PTSD clouding this nigga Imu's judgment right now, right? And Luffy says, basically, you need to keep your eyes on the prize, right? He lets off an attack. I think it's oh man, I forgot the exact name for it. I'm like sure to put the picture up, right? But he lets off an attack. I think it's like it's something to the effect of like one round. It's like one round, like one tap jumbo. It's something like that. Where the idea is you only need about 1 to 2 of these to put a nigga out for good. And I do want to think about our scaling for a second here, right? He is at minimum the size of at least Loki's chest, right? Maybe like Loki's like diaphragm. So Luffy is fucking massive. I do not know if you want to say he's the same size that he took on with that barrage gun in Wano. Again, that's a whole nother can of worms, in terms of scaling and anime and Toei and Oda's vision, and it's a whole can of worms with that. But this form, he's fucking huge. He towers over the trees in Elbaf. The trees that tower over the giants. He towers over that. Luffy is at an insane fucking size right now. Let's off a right hook, Conqueror's coding, hockey hardening, color of the Supreme Kings. You wanna know what happens? Imu blocks it, one hand. I wish I was fucking joking. I wish I was fucking joking. Luffy definitely gets humbled. Like there's no excuse around it. There's no agenda around this. Luffy gets dog walked, bro. And it's crazy, right? Because right after this attack, right, he sets off Stigma, and he says, nigga, didn't you just say that you were watching that match with me and Loki? Didn't you just say you wouldn't end up like his big bumbling buffoon ass? Now eat this Stigma. And basically Luffy pulls a substitution jutsu on this nigga Imu, and he is continued to be chased by the demons sent out by this I believe it is called an omen. Yes, the omens that are sent off by Imu. They're chasing Luffy around, and long story short, this nigga Imu, he sees Luffy out in the distance, and he goes, you know what? I gotta lock the fuck in. And he summons a sword called, like, what is it? The Wandering Void? Like, this nigga is crazy, bro. He's fucking insane. Okay, so sorry about this. It's a little late, right? It's more than a little late. But the attack is called Sucker Punching Bullet, right? So basically, it's a sucker punch, and it's a bullet. So the idea is that this nigga's Imu's supposed to go out in like one tap. Didn't fucking happen. That is extremely impressive. I will not just skim over that. Yes, and as I stated, Imu, he summons a fucking sword. Like, I have to believe he turned his omen into a sword, or no, I apologize, chat. His staff transfigures into a sword. Transfiguration is an actual ability that this nigga Imu has, and I do not think that we could just skim over that. That means that he is able to do a lot more shit than we know. The void. I'm gonna sit on this for a second. Hold on. So, when we think of the void, we think of the void century. We think of Joy Boy. We think of Davy Jones. We think of the world government. The allied kingdoms, etc., etc., etc. But in modern times, right now, when you hear black bottomless void, who do you think? It's not Enel. It ain't Kid. And it sure as hell ain't Kaido. Garp. No. Dofi. No. Sanji. No. I think it's very obvious where this direction is going. Blackbeard and I would say the proximity that he has to Imu's abilities, I think that you niggas are in for something crazy. That's all I'm gonna say. I swear I'm not predicting anything. I swear I'm not spoiling anything. When you hear dark, bottomless void, you only think of Marshall D. Teach. Or as we should call him now, Marshall D. Rocks, right? Wow, man. Wow. I'm just thinking about this for a second, because again, this ability, it only mirrors so many people in the verse. Like Black Bottomless Void. I mean, like, nigga. I mean, like, it is what it is. Like, this is Blackbeard in and out. The possibility of Blackbeard getting a very, very big power up at the end of this arc is not impossible, chat. I'm telling all of you right now, it is not impossible. You know, and I hate to keep dilly-dallying. We have to end this chapter eventually. You know, sorry, Oda. It's been a great run, but hey, we gotta cut this shit short somehow. So as Luffy, again, he is sprinting through the forest. This sword, and I think it is called something like the and yes, and I believe that is called the Wailing Void. My apologies, not the Wandering Void. The Wailing Void. It begins to wilt and kill all the forestation around Imu, right? And it's kind of insane, because you have to imply, from what's said by Luffy, that Imu's sight, like his simple eye line, like what he can see in his immediate view, will also begin to wilt. Because even though Luffy is at least a good mile or two away from Imu, again trying to outrun the omens, at least 8 or so that he sent off, the trees are wilting around Luffy, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And he's at least, again, like a stone's throw away from Imu. Like, he is not even in, like, he is so far away from him, right? And I know that analogy is normally used for people who are a little close by, but try to stick with me here, right? I say maybe a good 5 or 6 stone throws away from Imu. Luffy, you know, he's noticing this, and he's like, fuck it, this is probably the best chance I'm gonna get. So I like to believe that he tried to, like, rain down, like, maybe like a booming dawn, or maybe, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not a named attack that Luffy gives off, so I don't know what he anticipated to happen when he landed down. Like, it's not like he was charging something up, and you know, eventually what happens is the omens catch him off guard and push him from behind, you know, closer to Imu's offenses, right? So if that's what if that's what Luffy was setting up, I think would make a little bit more sense. But Luffy just kind of dives down, like literally just like full steam ahead, like fuck it, chat. Like, we already getting fired, Ernie. Like, basically, that's what this nigga Luffy said, right? And Luffy, you know, to no surprise, he gets impaled on the Wailing Void. No, this is essentially an entire setup. The second he got an inch away from Imu, the omens, you know, basically just bum rush this nigga onto the sword. We see an exact copy paste of what we see from Luffy and Crocodile and Alabasta, meaning that Luffy may get a little bit of power up. Luffy may have an ass pull like he did in Alabasta. Hey, anime is anime. Or he might get a very serious power up in the next couple of chapters. I'm okay with either. I am okay with either, chat. In Imu, basically, he ends this chapter off. There is a break next week, or this week, again. Hate to break it to you all, but that was a funny little pun. But Imu says, you know, I was wrong. I was mistaken. There's no way you're Joy Boy. Because he would never be this weak. He would never be this predictable, and he would never be this stupid. He didn't say those last two, but I just kind of just headcanon them. Luffy definitely doesn't put his best foot forward for this fight. And again, even like charging towards Imu with like no real attack. Like, you're gonna give this nigga a sucker, what was it, like a sucker bomb, like a sucker punch bomb? Like, what are we doing? Hey, stick to what works, my nigga. All right, I stick to what works, my nigga. All right, Baron gun. That's it. Bajron gun. That's all you can pull out at this moment, my nigga. Luffy's definitely down pretty bad. Luffy is down pretty bad. This time next week we will have a new chapter for chapter 1189. Since again this is 1000 chapter 88. Hey, I promise we're gonna get better at that. I promise we are. But this is a very cool chapter, very cool chapter. We have to imagine that Sanji and Zoro are both getting put through the ringer right now. And you know, I'll say this to say, I do not know if they'll fare better than Luffy. I imagine that they will, though, for the sake of storytelling. Unless Luffy's about to pull like a Goku, like, bro, do you even train? Was that your hardest attack, bro? But G shit, Luffy is yeah, he's leaking. He's a lot of blood. Toei's gonna have to figure that one out because it's a lot of it. it's a lot of it. Also, like a stab wound. That's like Luffy's like only like real known weakness is like sharp objects. So, I don't know. I don't know where this is going after this. It's possible that, like, I'll say the chance of Imu and the Holy Knights actually getting away is like a good 20% right now. A decent 20, because again, we know Oda, we know how Japan is with like their family-friendly comics or family-friendly mangas. Like, you're not supposed to go that far. You can't go that far. You can't get too crazy. Like, perfect example when fucking Dory and Brock made the Suicide Pact and they both killed each other. Everyone was like, oh shit, super adult, super mature. About time One Piece starts locking the fuck in. And then you all had to remember that this is predominantly sold to like 16 and 15-year-olds in the Japanese government. So, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Is what it is. I don't know what's gonna happen with Luffy. But again, very kind of half-assed effort. I'm gonna be honest with you, my nigga. Very kind of half-assed effort. It is what it is. Emu is definitely on top right now. We do not know what's going on with the world government. We have no idea what's going on, in Castle Pangea. Like, all of these things are just up in the air. What I can say definitively is that Luffy will bounce back somehow, some way. We are going to see more Straw Hat moments versus Emu, because of course the fuck we are. Come on, not gonna stand the fuck up. And Blackbeard, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to get an upgrade at the end of this arc due to this void ability, or this like this darkness ability, whatever the fuck Emu has. It will be put into Blackbeard's arsenal. I'll tell all of you that right now. But officially, again, that was everything that your boy Cappy had for chapter 1188. I want to apologize for the hoarse voice. I may or may have not went to 2 AEW shows in a row. It is what it is. It is what it is. A lot of other stuff going up for the rest of the week, including some wrestling, our yearly anniversary, and our weekly world report. I hope all of you have a great one. However you catch this, whenever you catch this, I hope all of you stay healthy, stay hydrated, and as I always say, all right, you all stay tuned, stay safe, stay beautiful. Peace.